Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and I'm so excited for this interview. Guys, we have the real-life Donnie Brasco. Joe Pistone is here. Forget about it. What an honor to have you, sir. Thank you for being here. How are you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for inviting me.
Look, I am a huge fan of this movie. For anybody who knows me, and my obviously a fan of Johnny, but Donnie Brasco was a fantastic film for both Johnny and Al Pacino, and it's just an intense movie about a guy who goes undercover in the 70s to infiltrate the mob, a true story, and Donnie Brasco, the character who infiltrates the job, was actually Joe here, and Joe, you went undercover it was 40 years ago, but you took down the mafia. In fact, you are still in seclusion from what I've read, right? You can't really give out where you are or where you go because there was a $500,000 hit on your head for the work that you did with the FBI against the mafia, correct?
That's correct. And to this date, it hasn't been lifted. But, you know, I don't think anybody gets up in the morning and say, I'm going out looking for Joe today. But, you know, you never know. There's always cowboys running around that think they can make a name for themselves if they take out Joe Pistone or anybody else in law enforcement.
Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of people just really angry with you. You got in deep. If you haven't seen the film or read any of his books, there are also a bunch of books you can pick up over on Amazon that Joe has there. Unfinished Business, The Wise Guy, a lot of stuff you can pick up if you just search up his name on Amazon, as well as 2 podcasts, The Undercovers, you can get it on Apple, etc., as well as Deep Cover, which you were telling me season 3 is coming. So you talk about true crime cases. You obviously have been deep undercover, but you know, right now I want to focus a little bit on the man that's all over the press right now, which is Johnny Depp. In order to prep for this film, he actually did sit with you and learned a lot of FBI lessons and such to prep for the role of Donnie Brasco, correct?
That's correct. I spent several months prior to the actual film of Donnie Brasco with Johnny. Brought him to the FBI. Brought him down to the FBI Academy of Quantico. Had him on the range shooting. So yeah, I spent a lot of time with him. So you know a lot about Johnny. But just for full clarification, you've never met Amber Heard. I want to put that on the record. You've never met Amber, correct? Never met Amber Heard. Never heard of her prior to her marrying Johnny.
Not a lot of us have. But I did ask Joe to he hasn't been following it religiously, but you did check out some clips. It's kind of impossible to follow this case. As someone who, you know, you can read people. You're in the FBI. You were undercover. You know Johnny. You don't know Miss Heard, but you've been watching some clips. I want to get to some of your sort of thoughts on this in general and your relationship with Johnny, et cetera. But I'm just curious. I got to go there right away. As you see all this in the media right now and what Johnny's under fire with Amber, her accusations and everything, the world all watching this trial, what was your sort of initial reaction when you heard these allegations coming forward?
Well, as I say, I've known Johnny. I know Johnny. I've been around him. I see the way he interacts with people. I've never seen him in fact, I've never seen him raise his voice. I've never seen him angry on a set, get angry with any of the crew on the set. I'm totally shocked at some of the accusations. I've been in Johnny's company with 2 of his prior girlfriends and never seen any outward of any outburst toward the females that he was with. So it baffles me that he would strike anybody. To me, he's just so soft spoken. I don't think he'd ever hit anybody. I mean, that's just my observation of knowing him since 1996.
And you spent a lot of time with him. Because not only were he was learning through you this character, FBI roles, as well as you said you were on set of that production, correct?
Yes, I was on every day, and like I said, I traveled. I was in France with him with one of his other girlfriends. I've never seen him, raise his voice to any ladies, any females, to his girlfriends. I'm just baffled. about these accusations. That's my opinion.
Now, you've been undercover with some really awful people, so you've gotten a read on people, how they treat their wives, how they're cheating on their wives. You were infiltrated in that world of the mafia for a while. I mean, what these accusations sort of put him in as this sort of crazy mob boss in a way, just having his way, hitting, drinking, doing it. You can clear up based on your experience. Completely separate people. You never got that read on Johnny.
No, never. And like I say, the times I was with him, I've never seen him do a drug. Now, like I say, that's when he was with me. The most I've ever seen him have is a couple glasses of wine. And, I've been out to dinner with him a lot of times. I'm just, like I say, it really baffles me that if there was any transformation that, how it took place.
So, all right, and again, I know you're being careful, and I appreciate it because you don't know Miss Heard, and you're being respectful of that. But based off some of the sort of using your FBI, your the way you sort of read people, did it make you think twice about Johnny when you heard her on the stand and some of the clips we've sent you or the audio tape I sent you? Any of the stuff that you've heard now, where's your head going as you've sort of been hearing her testimony and these allegations?
Well, I'm not totally convinced that that all these allegations are are the way they were portrayed on some of the clips that I've seen. Again, knowing him since '96 and being in his company a lot, and maintaining contact, I just can't see him acting that way. Of course, you're not there, so.
Let me ask it this way. Let me ask, because I know you're right. You worked with a lot of liars. Is that safe to say? In the mafia, a lot of those guys are lying to their wives. They're lying to people. They got to be sneaky out there. What's the biggest tell of somebody who's doing that, in your experience?
Well, a lot is how they're, their body language. Are they answering the question as soon as it's asked? Do they put on a little, lack of a better term, acting while they're answering the question? Do they deflect the question in their answer? There's a myriad of things that you can pick out, overstating the answers.
Overstating the answer. That's a good one. I mean, that's what we've seen her do a lot. I mean, yeah. I mean, in hearing the testimonies, do you sense any of those sort of tells that you've experienced either by Johnny or Amber?
Well, some of the clips that I've seen, like I said, I haven't been watching. I've been watching the trial. I'm just watching some of the clips on the news, and breaking down. I mean, it seems to me Johnny kept his cool throughout what I saw, his testimony, the clips that I saw, and just answered where, a couple of the clips I saw of Miss Heard, it seems like, she was over the top with the answers as far as emotions.
Fair enough. I mean, in your experience, there's one scene I also just wanted to talk about from the film, bring it back to the film, which you said this film was pretty accurate. I think I saw a quote. Correct me if the quote was correct. You said about 85% accurate was Donnie Brasco, the movie, compared to the experience. Is that true?
Yeah, that's about the percentage.
The one scene that I'm always so just blown away by is the shoe scene in the Chinese restaurant. Did that actually happen, or was that an album, like a combination of multiple moments? And for those that don't know, there's a scene where you're undercover and you're basically you can't really remove the shoe, or you can't remove your shoe because you have like the wire, or you have the evidence in there, the tape, and the Asian restaurant's telling everybody, well, you have to. And you look suspicious when you won't remove the shoe. And then in the moment, you have to immediately, change it. and they end up beating the guy with the shoe so you can get away. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not, my father was in Nam. F this. Was that a real moment that happened to you?
Well, that was a combination of different situations that occurred. We didn't. That gentleman wasn't beaten the way it was in a movie. That was a lot of Hollywood. What they did with they took a combination of events that occurred and put him into that one.
But you had to face that moment of oh crap, if I don't turn on this innocent person, they're gonna find out what I do, and then your life is threatened, your family is threatened, all the work you've done is threatened. That was a real fear you had to face and do, given the line of work.
Yeah, you face that every day. I mean, you can't have your cover blown because the mob's not thinking of you as the law enforcement undercover. They're thinking of you as an informant, and they have no problems killing the informant on the spot. They have no problems whacking you right there, versus thinking, well, maybe he's an FBI agent. They might think about it a little longer. So those moments happen all through your undercover gig.
Yeah, and I just show some respect because the work you did was so incredibly important, but it's just so unnerving because you didn't see your family for years. Performance by Anne Heche in the film, who's fantastic as your wife in the film, does a phenomenal job in this movie. But just sort of how broken the family was getting through this, how you were changing. How were you able to deal with that? Like, you were living this lie, you were living this life. It was all for a good purpose to expose these monsters, but then it's affecting your real life and how you did it. Can you talk a little bit about how you were able to get through that?
Well, how you get through it is, you maintain your moral compass of who you are. And, I maintained, even though I didn't see my wife or my family for months on end, I maintained contact via telephone with my wife pretty much every day. And that's basically what it is. And you have to, it takes a lot of mental toughness to work deep cover, undercover. And that's why everybody can't do it. So, you have to have the mental capacity and the mental toughness to know who you are, why you're there, and your purpose for being there. And just every day, you reinforce that.
How is your family? How are you and your family now? I mean, after it all went bad, were they happy? Was it scary afterwards for a while? Did it settle down at a certain point? I mean, this was 40 years ago, but how has it been since?
Well, it's been pretty good. I mean, once they found out that there was a $500,000 contract out on me,
nobody likes that.
Everybody
forget about it.
Everybody was a little edgy and afraid to go out and start the car every day, So, but it as years went on, it calmed down. I mean, we've moved several times since the operation. And what you do is you clean your background and you move again, and you you clean that background, and eventually you get to where you're another family.
And forget about it. Was that something you do? Now it's the catchphrase. I love it. You got the hat and everything, but do you find yourself using it now, like ironically, just out of convenience? How often is the phrase used today?
Well, it's amazing that the phrase is used a lot. I mean, I hear it on TV shows. You see it on in movies. But it's not a phrase that I made up. It was a phrase that the wise guys used.
Yeah.
And the movie brought it out, and it just caught on.
What was the biggest surprise for you when you saw the film? I'm just curious. As a film guy, you're watching your story on the screen, portrayed by these amazing actors. Johnny Depp doing such a fantastic job. What was it like to sit back all those years later and watch it unfold?
Well, it's surreal. You're thinking, wow, I did that. And then you're thinking, geez, I can't believe I did that. Why would I? What was I thinking? Put myself in that kind of danger, or after the operation over, not realizing that I could have put my family in danger too. Uh, but then again, you feel proud because you say, hey, I did something that bettered, bettered humanity, was good for the country, was good for law enforcement, because you know, we did take down basically the American mafia to the point where we start really working cases and prosecuting major members of every mafia family, to where today, the mafia is just another organized crime group in the United States. It doesn't control interstate commerce or control judges, law enforcement, politicians like it did back in the day.
What was it like working with Johnny? I mean, how was his process? Like, was he, did he ask a lot of questions? Or was it just sort of, was he trying to just watch how you acted? I'm just curious for fans of him and that performance, like anything you can share about sort of his process and how he did that with you?
Yeah, actually, he's like a sponge. I mean, when we would be together, he'd ask me some questions, but mostly he would watch and observe how my rhythms as far as walking, my voice, my tones, and in fact, one we were shooting one day, and my mom was on the set, and she saw it was Johnny walking away, and she thought it was me, because just the way he walked, and the way he carried himself. So, like I say, what he does, he mostly observes, and listens. Listens how, like I say, listens to the rhythms of your voice, and he got it down. I mean, everybody that all my friends said, man, it was, if we're just listening and not looking, and we didn't know it was him, we'd think it was you talking.
He truly went undercover and pulled it off. What about Pacino? I mean, Michael Corleone's there. Did he actually try to get any advice with you as well, or was he sort of just like, yeah, I know, I get this world?
No, Al is the same. I spent a couple of days with Al listening to tapes, of me and Lefty, and he was very interested in how Lefty carried himself, how Lefty spoke. Yeah, I mean, all the actors were. They all asked me about each one of their characters. Again, how they acted, how they would react to certain situations during the filming, certain scenes. It was just a great ensemble, great cast.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most touching thing about the film is Lefty and Donnie's relationship. It's really like you feel for him. He's right. He's this bad guy, but the movie at least makes you relate and feel for this mafia guy. And there's remorse even that the character has, and it seemingly do. How real was that? Was there a little while of regret, and did you actually feel for him, or did it turn off at a certain point? You're like, no, this guy's not a good person anyway. But was that a Hollywood thing, or was there a conflict there?
Well, that was really a Hollywood thing. Let me say this. I never, look, I didn't want to get anybody killed, but I had no problem with gathering evidence and sending them to jail, because that's my job. And, they all know what the life was. They joined that life, and they knew the consequences of the life. They either go to jail or they get whacked, they get killed. So I had no regrets sending anybody to jail. I didn't want to, Sonny Black got, they killed him. I didn't want to see him get killed. They killed Tony Mira. Tony, I had no problem with. He was probably the meanest guy I ever met. But no, I had no regrets doing my job, not at all.
Interesting, but a good movie. No, it was nice that they sort of made Al Pacino's Lefty have a little bit more to it, or would you have rather it been real? I guess it's always interesting when you have someone's life taken over via Hollywood. Did you appreciate some of those Hollywood script liberties to make the film feel better, or would you have preferred it to just be as honest?
Well, like I was told, Joe, we got to, we're not doing a documentary. The purpose is to put asses in the seats.
Right.
And so, you have to take some liberties. And they have to make the hero be a hero, and Donnie Donnie in the movie was the hero. So he has, in the movie, he has to show some feelings toward Lefty and Sonny. But I like the way, if you notice, the way Lefty transformed through the movie. He starts out in the movie, you see him with that hat and that overcoat, and then as the movie progresses, you see him dressed better.
Yep.
So that was a good take on Al's part, the way he wanted to play Lefty. He did a fabulous job.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film, guys. If you haven't seen it, do check it out, and make sure you also support the book. You can read about the true story if you want to hear more of the realities to it over Joe Pistone's so many books over on Amazon. You can also find him on Instagram, and like I said, 2 podcasts if you want to learn more. The Undercovers with Ed O'Neill, my goodness, love him. You can watch that, as well as Deep Cover with Joe and Leo. That it's season 3. You said is coming soon, yeah?
Yeah, and if you go into Deep Cover, you got to go to Real Donnie Brasco, because there's several podcasts that are Deep Cover, but so
the real there it is. Yep.
Yeah, the Real Donnie Brasco.
Lots to check out, man. And, what beautiful talking. Go ahead. Yeah, final thoughts or words you want to add to the audience here?
Yeah, in the Undercovers with Ed O'Neill, I also was lucky enough to have Ray Liotta. Do some reading. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We got two great actors involved in that. And then again, with Deep Cover, the Real Donnie Brasco, how could you beat Leo Ross? For those that know Leo, Leo's been an actor forever. He's been in, 100 movies.
Yeah.
And he does a real good job of playing off of me in Deep Cover, the Real Donnie Brasco.
Fantastic. And sir, great. Thank you for the work, and thank you for being here and sharing it. Final thought on Johnny, because I know a lot of Johnny fans are watching. Biggest surprise that maybe fans of Johnny might like to hear about working with him, or just his character?
All I can say is he's a great guy. He's always good to my family, good to my kids, even my grandkids. I can't say enough about his character. Like I say, I don't live with him, but I can't say enough about his character as far as dealing with me and my family. I've seen him do things on the set that I don't think any A-list actor would do to take care of the crew. If you got a minute, we were shooting down in Florida, and it was the scene in the casino, and it was hot as heck that day. And when they cut to reset, they didn't want to let the extras out because they didn't want to take time to reset them where they were at the tables and everything. And Johnny didn't know that. So after like the second time or so, and he would go to his trailer, and then he'd come back, to start another scene in the casino. And I guess he heard that the extras weren't allowed out. And he went to the director and said, "Look, if I can leave here, they can leave here too, to get out, because they had the air conditioning off because of the sound." And he said, "Unless you do that, I'm not coming back in to start shooting unless you give them the same break that you're giving me." To me, that showed where his medal was.
Yeah. I've been on sets. Not every A-list actor worries about the extras. They don't at all.
Exactly.
That's nice to hear. Well, I appreciate that insight. So it sounds like you're rooting for Johnny on this trial, even though you haven't been following it as closely. It sounds like you're hoping for justice for Johnny here as well, given the man you know. So we're all rooting for him as well, and thank you for sharing that insight on him. Pleasure to have you here, sir. Thanks again for all the work you did and cleaning up the streets and the mafia out there back when you did. Fantastic story. If you haven't seen it yet, watch the film, buy the books, listen to him on the podcast. Pleasure to have you here, Joe. Thanks so much for being here. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe here. Go subscribe to his podcast as well. Hit the bell for all alerts. Smash the like button and leave your comments down below. Always a pleasure having you. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks again, Joe.
Thank you. My pleasure. Take care.
Take care, man.